Good morning to you. This is Tour Radio Breakfast with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. Thank you so much indeed for your company. 7:23 is at the time. We're going to get updates on Team GB and other events over in Tokyo coming up very soon. First up, though, let's talk more about the travel announcements. Front page, pretty much every paper today. And this is the change to the travel rules. Previously, if you're going to be travelling into the UK, you have to quarantine pretty much from wherever you're coming from, even if it's the EU or US, unless you've got proof of double jabs. But double jabs under the NHS. So it even meant that Brits travelling in from the EU, whether it's people, expats living in Spain or France or elsewhere, you were not able to travel into this country without having an NHS jab. And this has created lots of problems. But now we know that as of Monday, that's 2nd of August, the EU and US people can, if they've been double jabbed, travel to England without quarantine. Question is, though, how soon will it be until the US opens up their borders to us in the UK? Let's talk to Lloyd Figgins, who's Chief Executive Officer of the TRIP Group. They're a travel risk and incident prevention organisation. Good morning to you, Lloyd.
Good morning, Julia.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. We've already seen, as soon as this announcement came in, that the Labour Party's Keir Starmer called it reckless, opening up. But Sajid Javid, the Health Secretary, had apparently been given information, told that actually EU travellers who were arriving from the EU who'd been given a jab that's not actually approved here in the UK, for instance, the Chinese jab, which is not remotely as effective as the ones we've had approved here and in much of the EU, that they could be a risk to us. Is there a genuine concern here, do you think?
I don't think there is if we're only looking at the US and the EU, because of the fact that the US vaccinations have been sanctioned by the CDC and the European Union ones by the European Medicines Agency. So I don't think there's a concern with that at all. I do think that there could be a concern if they open it up to other countries.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is the issue, isn't it? And of course, the difficulty we have is of recognising vaccine status. If double vaccination is going to be the way you prove that you are as safe as you can be, not completely safe, obviously, we never will be completely safe from this virus. We've got the NHS app, all the constituent parts of the UK. We can show that. The EU is recognising that. The EU has their Green Pass system, which the EU citizens and residents can use. America, of course, every single state has got different proof of vaccine, got different take up of vaccine rates in different states, and of course some states have only got sort of a piece of paper. It's like us having our little card for after our double jab. So there is going to be difficulty in terms of recognising this.
Yeah, there is. But I mean, let's not lose sight of the fact, Julia, that this has been piloted already by the US and the UK authorities. Yeah. And, Heathrow Airport have been, a massive part of that. And so, yeah, in New York, for an example, they do have a paper-based system. But in California, they have a fully automated system. But the fact is, it has already been trialed. So, let's not lose sight of the fact that that it has been trialed, and it's going to, those trials are going to go out even further now.
Yeah. So yeah, not really to be feared from this. We obviously we've got to open up in particular. I mean, we want to make it easier for people to travel in Europe. We've got huge numbers of people in this country with not just wanting to go on a holiday, but with family members, close family members, parents, brothers and sisters, children living on the continent. You've been able to see each other. People obviously, people say, well, you can travel, it's free travel, but if you have to do a 10-day quarantine afterwards and paying for this huge amount of costs for these PCR tests going in and out, it's simply not feasible for an awful lot of people. But we've also got the issue of US. You basically pretty much can't travel to the US. They're not letting us in. There is this expectation, though, isn't there, that the US, this is all part of a deal. This has been done, and the US will be opening up their borders.
Yeah, I mean, these talks have been going on for quite a while now, Julia, certainly since the G7 and beyond. And, at the end of the day, someone had to make the first move. And I would, congratulate the government on making that move. This is a very, very positive sign. And we've got vaccination in place for a reason. And if you are double vaccinated, then I see no reason from a risk perspective that if you, are not symptomatic, you test negative, then there's absolutely no reason you shouldn't be able to go to countries with similar case rates and have also got similar vaccination rates well.
I mean, that's the thing, we came back from Mallorca, we had to give tests there, tests back, tests, and then got pinged and self-isolating and the like. The reality is, I mean, where we were in Mallorca, they've got a lower test rate than Manchester. I'd be allowed to travel to Manchester. That wouldn't be an issue at all. It does seem quite bizarre. In terms of, I mean, we've got that announcement about the EU and US, and we're hoping to speak to the Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, about that later in the show. But next week, we're expecting to have some more announcements about travel closer to home, more in terms of holiday travel. I mean, a bit late given that kids are on school holidays, people desperate to book things. A lot of people already just gone months earlier, given in and just booked a travel here in the UK. But there is a lot of expectation that France will come off that amber plus list, back onto the amber list, and people will be able to come back from France as they can with other amber list countries if you're double jabbed without quarantining. How hopeful are you of that? Can you give us a percentage chance?
Well, I'm not really into the crystal ball games as you have on your show as it is, Julia.
So I thought you were Neil Ferguson for a moment. Sorry.
What I would like to see is, that the government continue to have a look at the frequency, the severity, and the impact based on a country by country basis. But vaccination has got to be part of that. If I specialize in travel risk, so we look at things like what proactive control measures can you put in. And then if they fail for any reason, then what reactive control measures can you put in? And vaccination, particularly double vaccinated people, has got to be deemed as a very good proactive control measure. So I think that if the government continue to go down that line of looking at frequency, severity, and impact, then I think we will see countries open up. But conversely, we might see some drop down to the Amber Plus.
Yeah, indeed. We're told that Spain is at high risk, even some of the Balearic Islands, Greece possibly. But then also the hope that Germany, Austria and Italy might possibly go on the green list. But again, who knows? Often then the predictions have been made. They've been wildly wrong. No one saw the Amber Plus thing happening with France. That came totally out of the blue. That's the thing. The risk, I mean, you say you specialise in risk. The risk here is simply the inability to actually forecast.
Yeah, it is. But, there's some other external factors to be considered here. We've seen in other parts of the world where people are actually traveling on false documentation. Yeah. There's a case in Indonesia recently where a man got dressed up in a hijab as his wife and traveled on her documents because she had a negative test and he had a positive test. Wow. So people go to all sorts of extremes in order to be able to travel. And the challenge for the authorities is being able to keep those of us who are sticking to the rules as safe as they possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. Lloyd Figgins, Chief Executive Officer of the Trip Group. Thank you very much for that.